Oh, happy blessings of the season. Happy solstice. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah on the same day this year, the first night of Hanukkah. Kwanzaa, whatever it is that you're celebrating in this December time, this dark, beautiful time. And it's funny, I think I so love the solstice, and I love the meaning and the juxtaposition of light and dark, and that this is actually the moment in these days right after the winter solstice where the sun, even though it stands still for 3 days, that's what solstice means, stand still, that the sun will slowly come back. And for that reason, I think I that's why I picked a bunch of goddesses that had to do with joy and celebration and happy stuff because to me this is a celebratory time of year. I know it isn't for everyone. I'm Deborah Roth. Obviously, you wouldn't be here if you didn't know something about me or weren't connected with me somehow. And this is the space that I gather once or twice a month at this point to just really put the energy out there to reclaim the divine feminine in the world, all the qualities, all the energy of the divine feminine in all of her many faces. And this month, not this month, although I haven't done this in a while, I have found, and she was kind of intriguing, I found the Norse goddess Nanna, or Nanna, I may not be saying that right correctly, not being one of Norse descent. And she originally, when I found her, she was presented as being a goddess of joy and romantic love. It turns out she's got some very poignant mythology around her. So I will share that, and I will share how you might be able to call on her. Remember, all of these goddesses are really archetypes for qualities, for feelings, for support, for guidance from the divine that we can call on, regardless of whether we're men or women, regardless of whether we are from that particular culture. I want to be very careful about co-opting any, so I always make sure that you know where they're from. So this one is from the northern lands in Europe, from Northern Europe. And Nanna was considered to be, she was the bride, she was the wife of Baldur, who was the handsome, beloved god of peace and love and beauty. And she doesn't have a whole lot of separate mythology other than that. I found some things that talk about her. I have, but she's, and of course, if you've watched these, you know I get steamed when the only images that I see of goddesses are these young, voluptuous, flowing, images. And even for the crone goddesses, which always makes me a little crazy. But because her power is so much in devotion and in support and loyalty, and it was matched apparently by Baldur. The picture that I chose to show you, the image of her, she is shown with her husband, with her beloved. And not with, this is, I don't remember where this woodcut is from, sometime in the 1800s. So she doesn't have that anime look around her like so many of the images do of these divinely feminine archetypes. So I think she was, there's some speculation by scholars that she was a human at one point, that she was being fought over by the two brothers, Baldur and his brother, I'm not going to be able to find it quickly, Hodor, who was blind and therefore connected with the darkness, whereas Baldur was shown to have light flowing all around him. And she, Nanna, was also, again, in one version, said to be the sister of Sigyn, who was the wife of Loki, who was not so beloved. He was the mischief god. He was the one who ultimately had a hand in killing Baldur, which the mythology of Nanna comes particularly from that place. So she is the goddess of romantic tenderness, of sweetness, of devotion, and she is a goddess of love's power to endure, even in hard times. And you'll hear about why that is. And why it was, here I picked this goddess that I thought was all about joy and celebration. But she's had to face the darkness, and in fact descends into hell, which is the Hel, which is the Norse underworld. We'll get to that in a minute. They are thought to, she is the mother of Foresti, who is the god of justice. She was one of the daughters, it's believed, of Odin, the king of the gods. And she is said to, she ruled alongside, she was revered alongside Baldur. She was not a lesser than, and dwelt in his celestial hall that was a court of stars that is believed to have been the Milky Way. In that myth. And let's see, they're Asgard, which is the kind of like the pantheon, where the gods live in Norse mythology. They were kind of considered Asgard sweethearts, and the paragon of courtly love. Now, she's also, and this is interesting, definitely not so much to do, at least in the Northern Hemisphere, with what's going on this season, but she was the kind of sun-connected, she represented the sun connection to flowers that, which bloom with joy at the sun's light, and they follow it across the sky, and then slowly as the sun sets, as the sun, dies, as the ancients thought that's what happened in these months, in these dark months in the Northern Hemisphere, then the flowers wither away. So you can find her in the summer, and maybe with some of those wintry flowers that exist out there. Now, she's also associated, and this is where the kind of contradiction or paradox comes in, with grief and consolation, because what happens is that Baldur has a dream, he has a nightmare that he's going to be killed. His mother, Frigg, who's one of the top goddesses, doesn't want to hear that. She runs around and gets everybody on board with not harming him. But Loki, the mischievous god, we don't want to say evil, but he was not a nice guy. He found out that mistletoe was the downfall of Baldur, and he creates an arrow out of it and convinces his brother Hodur to shoot the arrow at Baldur, which causes him to die. And all of the gods and goddesses and humans are mourning because of that. And let's see and because of that, Nanna's heart is broken, and she follows him. Some versions she climbs on the funeral ship, the funeral pyre ship. Other ones she descends into the underworld, into the Norse underworld, hell, with him. And it's representative. It's a poignant representative of their inseparable bond. And and another one of Odin's sons, everybody's trying to get Baldur back because he was so beloved, and of course, along with him, Nanna. And so Hermod, who's another one of Odin's sons, travels to the underworld to try to coax them back, to try to convince Hel, the goddess of the underworld, to release him. But instead, she refuses, and instead allows him to take gifts back from the two of them, both to the other gods and goddesses, and to humans as well. From Nanna, it was a linen robe for Frigg and a golden ring for the goddess Fula. And so there's a little bit of hope at the end that when Ragnar, I'm not going to say it right, Ragnarok, which is the prophesied to be the downfall of Asgard, when most of the Norse gods and goddesses will die and be reborn. At that point, Baldur and Nanna will rejoin us. But in the meantime, she is someone, as I mentioned at the beginning, that her devotees called on for as a source of comfort during dark times. And for the god, she was this beacon of empathy and understanding. So for us, for humans, and this does kind of connect with the time of year that we're in. She brings a glimmer of hope. She's a glimmer of hope and solace when the times are dark, when the days are the shortest. So, little bit of as much as I could find about her, and I don't have a chant for you right now, but instead an invitation, because these celebratory times for many people, but for many they are not. Allow yourself to sink into the darkness as a place of comfort, as a place of cozy hibernation. The bears have it right, as I said in my YouTube post about the solstice. And don't be freaked out by these long nights and shorter days, because yes, as the wheel of the year continues to turn, so the sun will very, very slowly make its way back. And until it does, though, don't yearn for it. Allow yourself to find the gifts in your quiet, deep places within yourself. Enjoy. I'd love to hear about any of your encounters with Nanna or some of these other divinely feminine archetypes that we play with. Thanks for joining me, and happy holidays.